Hello and welcome. Today I want to share with you how to have an effective discipline plan in your class. Since most of us use English to teach people, and this is my way of sharing knowledge. Who am I? My name is Rocio Valdez, and I've been teaching for almost 20 years. I started in the year 2000. I studied English in school in Mexico City and in high school in California. There I went to the University of California, UCI, and I came back to Mexico and I finished my studies in business administration, and I got a degree in marketing. I have a certification to practice NLP, that is neuro-linguistic programming, and of course I love teaching, and that's why I created these groups to share my knowledge and to be teaching not only students but also teachers on how to teach. Today I want to share with you the three most important student behaviors that must be taught the first days of school. Those are discipline, procedures, and routines. The basic structure for a discipline plan are rules, and rules are what the expected behaviors are. So first of all, you have to sit down and think, what is it that you want to accomplish in your classroom? Second of all, you write down those rules according to what you expect to have from your students. And you think about the consequences if those rules aren't followed, and also the rewards. Those are what the student will receive for appropriate behavior. Okay, so now how do you set rules? The best advice is to state them positively, when possible, of course. If not, you will do it to the point, understandable, and incontestable. That means your students will not ask any questions about it. Examples of those are no cursing or swearing, no smoking, and no fighting. Why you should have them? Think about your inner motivation on why do you want to have your rules in the classroom. This is so important because it will get for you to know the real motivation on why do you want to set your rules. Okay, and then you need to have clear expectations on those rules. And your rules, of course, should be ready on the first day. We have two kinds of rules. They can be general and they can be specific. The general rules are more flexible and they have major coverage. That's the advantage of them. But the disadvantage of them is that you need to explain them. We recommend general rules for experienced teachers, teachers that never raise their voice and seldom get angry. If you're a newer teacher, or maybe an experienced one, looking for a better discipline system, then I will recommend specific rules. Specific rules are to the point, they are clearly stated, and those are the advantages. The disadvantage is that you can only limit your rules to 5. Why? Well, if we have more than 5 rules, we probably might not take them seriously because we will not remember them. But anyhow, you can move from specific to general rules as students learn about your expectations. Here are some examples of general rules. Respect others, take care of your school, be polite and helpful, keep the room clean, and behave in the library. Remember, if you choose to follow general rules, you will have definitely to explain them to your students. Here are some examples of specific rules. Follow directions the first time they're given. Raise your hand and wait for permission to speak. Stay in your seat unless you have permission to do otherwise. Keep hands, feet, and other objects to yourself. No cursing or teasing. Remember, if you want to choose specific rules, the advice is to limit them to no more than 5. Here are more examples for specific rules for elementary grades. Wait for directions with no talking. Eyes front when the teacher is talking. Change tasks quickly and quietly. Complete the morning routine. Report directly to the assigned area. And here are more examples on specific rules for high school. Be in your seat when the bell rings. Bring all books and materials to class. No personal grooming during class time. Remember, teenagers are always wanting to look good. That's why this is a good rule. Sit in your assigned seat daily and follow directions the first time they are given. It is so important that you check out these things before introducing the discipline plan on the first day or second day of school. Check that you have carefully planned for what you want to accomplish. Write down the rules. And very, very important, post the rules along with consequences and rewards. I later on will explain how to write your consequences and rewards. Make sure you welcome the class and make sure you have introduced yourself. Then take care of any administrative duties, and then only after you have done all of those tasks, you will introduce your discipline plan to your students. Okay, very important. Are these going to be rules or responsibilities? If you explain very well to your students why is it that you have these responsibilities, if you convince them that we need them to have a better environment, your students will not see them as rules. They will see them as responsibilities. And they will cooperate with you. Here's an example of how you can do it. You can call them classroom agreement. You write them in the middle, and then it will look like a sun. And then the students will make their own names on a sheet of paper, and this will be part of the sun. And then in this case, you will use their creativity, and you will have your classroom agreement with the rules that you want them to follow. So the classroom agreement, you write them beforehand, and the way of them to sign them is to write them on a piece of paper. So please comment if you like this kind of idea. I'd like to know what you think so far about what we're doing. Hello, Caballero Urbano. I see that you're here. And Mari, what do you mean, how can you watch the videos? Later on, this video will be posted on the group and you will have access to it. And you can share it, and you can also take out more information if you need to. So any questions so far? Okay, so how are we going to handle consequences and rewards? When dealing with young people, especially children, many rules must have consequences to enforce them and rewards to validate them. Rules are used to set limits. Imagine you are in the Empire State or in a very, very tall building. What would happen to you if you didn't have a glass or a boundary to help you not fall down from the building? You will not feel safe. That is the same with rules. Rules are meant for our students to feel secure in our classroom. That's why they are so, so important to talk about them on the first days of going back to school. And then we have reasonable and logical consequences. A reasonable consequence is one that follows logically from the behavior, rather than one that is arbitrarily imposed. So for example, if one of your rules is that you always speak English in your classroom and your student start speaking Spanish, a logical consequence would be to write down the rule, I only speak English in class, let's say 10 times in his notebook. An arbitrarily consequence for that would be asking your student to leave your classroom. Okay, the best logical consequences teach the students to choose between acceptable and unacceptable actions. You're going to make your students think before doing something, before acting without thinking. So rules will help our students feel secured, but also will help us to have more control of our students and to be effective teachers. Okay, the cardinal principle for setting out rules is that you will do not stop instruction when giving out the consequence. What do I mean by this? If one of your students is getting distracted and your rule is to pay attention to your teacher or to the person that is speaking, you immediately will write his name or her name on the board, and that means it's a warning. But you will not stop giving out your class because, I don't know, Alex didn't pay attention to you. So you only go straight to the board and you will write his name, and that will mean that he has a warning. Another cardinal principle is when you see a violation of one of the rules, immediately give out the penalty. Don't wait for you to finish explaining your topic. Right away, write the name on the board. Then give out the penalty quietly as you continue with the lesson or classwork. That's why it's so important that you invest a lot of time during the first or second day of coming back to school to explain your rules and the consequences. Hi, Angel. I see you're joining our meeting. If you have any questions, please feel free to write any comments. Okay, another activity that you can practice with your students, of course, the older ones. It will not work for little ones. But if you have probably 9-year-old up, you can ask them to follow my action plan. What do I mean by this? In the action plan, basically, you answer 3 questions. Well, it's not you, it's your student that has to answer these 3 questions. What's the problem? For example, the problem is that your student is speaking Spanish and he's not supposed to speak Spanish in your class. What's causing the problem? You will not answer this. Your student has to answer this. You make the questions to him or her, and they have to answer you. So probably your student will say, oh, I don't understand what you're saying. Okay, so he has to write it on the action plan. And then number 3, you will ask your student, what plan will you use to solve the problem? So he has to think on at least 3 options on how he can solve this problem. So he would say something like, I can ask you what you're saying. And then you will teach him, yeah, you can say something like, teacher, I don't understand. Can you please repeat? And that would be one action to solve the problem. So if you choose to follow my action plan, you would have students that will manage problem solving, that will achieve responsibility and self-discipline. I have a program that is called How to Be an Effective Teacher, where I would teach how to use this action plan step by step. So if you are interested, I will explain about that, about my program later. Another strategy for having discipline in your class is the teacher look. How can you do this teacher look? Okay, you have to practice. First, you will really stare at the student to stop the misbehavior. Stare means to look at your student directly into the eyes and you don't move. If the student doesn't stop, calmly, this is very important, that you never lose your temper. You calmly walk to the student. Then you would lean over and place your hand on the desk or the student's shoulder, but lightly. Then whisper into the student's ear or face. Say the student's name. Tell the student what you want the student to do. So you will not say something like, don't speak Spanish. Try to do it in positive. So you would tell your student, for example, Alex, can you please speak English? And then you would say, thank you. Stare at the student and wait for 3 seconds. So you will continue staring. That means looking at him directly into the eyes. And then you will leave your student with an affirmative smile. Remember, we are dealing with people, with childs, with kids. So please treat them properly. Remember, they have a heart and they will feel upset if we don't do that. That's why at the end, we have to give him an affirmative smile. Okay, and now I want to talk to you about my challenge that is called How to Be an Effective Teacher. What can you learn on this challenge? Okay, this is 1 week with daily online training like this one. You will have recorded sessions so you can access to them at any time. The sessions probably will be every day at 8 p.m. and I will have them the first week of August. So if you cannot make it on time, you will have a chance to watch them later. Also, you can have an online coaching to solve your doubts. Even if we are not live, you can ask me and I will try to solve your doubts. You will also have access to our private group. In this private group, we will post specialized videos, valuable information, and I will give specific examples. And since you will be interacting with me, you can ask me your specific situation and we can work on it. So far, how did it sound, this information? Is this being helpful to you? Comment 1 if this has been helpful to you, please. Caballero Urbano, Mari, José Ángel, Claudia Pinzón. So far, how does it sound? Is this being helpful to you? Okay, so I'm gonna tell you what will you get in how to be an effective teacher. You will understand the importance of your role as a teacher, mainly as an English teacher. You will know how to have an effective discipline plan. You will learn how to set the rules according to your needs. You will develop procedures that will work out for you. We will talk about routines and how to practice them with your students so that your students will get the idea on what you need to set the limits. And you are going to prepare your students' mindset for a change. What do I mean by this? Probably your student will say something like, I don't understand. And we are going to start, I'm going to teach you how to change your students' mindset by giving them advice that instead of saying, I don't understand, they can ask themselves things like, what am I missing? Also, in this training on how to be an effective teacher, you will learn how to teach values to your students. And if your students learn values, of course, they will get to know self-control, and this is so important in a classroom. I will also help you understand your students' needs. We will have some exercises, and in this way you can identify what is it that they are struggling with. And then we will cover the different learning styles, the visual, the kinesthetic, and auditory, because the way you have to present your class, it's different if your students are visual. If they are visual, you will have to use things that they can see, and the vocabulary you will use will have to have visual words. The kinesthetic ones are the ones that are always moving and they want to go in and out, up and down. So I will share with you activities that have worked out perfectly well with my students. And then we have the auditory students that they like so much, the activities where they can listen to things. And what I use with my students are songs. They love them. And that's why I have the other group that is called Perfecciona tu Inglés Cantando, where I share my secrets on this. And then finally, I will share with you activities that your students will love. For example, I have the magic corner. And when my students get to finish fast and when they follow the rules, they have a chance to enter this magic place where they can draw, they can write, they can read, or they can use my special markers. So basically, how much does it cost, this program on how to be an effective teacher? My mentor would charge for this 6,000 Mexican pesos. And my regular price is 2,500 pesos. But my special offer for you now, because this is the first time that I'm introducing this online, is of 500 pesos. Remember what you're getting. It's 1 week of videos and one-to-one sessions where I can teach you and share with you all the knowledge that I have acquired during these 20 years of teaching. So only today, the special offer is 500 pesos. And if you decide to take this training and you pay for it before Monday, I will give to you a fast action bonus. That is my ebook on teaching values and a one-to-one online follow-up session. Only those two things cost those 500 pesos. So if you want to join it, please send me an inbox and I can share with you the account number And then we will close the deal and we will have this training on how to be an effective teacher. Okay, and these are testimonies on mothers that have taken their kids' classes with me. Samantha de Vega says que cuenta con la maestra de inglés más paciente y comprometida para que adquieras los conocimientos. And then one of my students wrote me a letter, a thank you letter, and he says, for my niece. Basically what he's saying is, thank you for teaching me new things. Thank you because now he is in the poetry contest, and that I am the best teacher that he has ever had. I felt so flattered about this, and this special kid was a challenge for me because he's very kinesthetic and he's usually being misunderstood because he's very, very active in class. So he finishes his letter saying that now he feels more confident and that he's so thankful about it and that he loved his English class. Well, thank you so much for joining to this training. And if you decide on being an effective teacher today, please send me an inbox and I will let you know more information on how we can have our session. Thank you so much, and I'm here to help you. Goodbye, and thank you for joining this meeting.